This is Parker Pathways, and we're discussing with our guest a geoscientist, Lorraine Moret, concerning deuterated uranium and its other aspects of its interference with cell energy transfer systems. Lorraine, I wanted to just, for the basis of our listeners who may not know what depleted uranium is, because it comes from a metallic uranium. I'll let you explain that. I could explain it, but I'd rather have you do it. What is depleted uranium?
Well, when you mine uranium, you get and extract the uranium metal. You get a ratio of 3 isotopes of uranium, which is constant throughout the universe, and this is because they have different half-lives. And so the only isotope that bomb makers and nuclear power plant people are interested in is uranium-235. But that is only 0.72%, less than 1% of all the metal that you extract from the ore. And so 99.3% of the uranium metal that's extracted is depleted uranium once you remove 0.5% of the U-235.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of what is thrown away or discarded or not useful is uranium-238. That makes up 99.5% of the uranium that is not useful.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a half-life of 4.5 billion years, the age of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Department of Energy has over a million tons of depleted uranium stored as uranium hexafluoride gas, which is how the uranium-235 is extracted from the mass of uranium. And Edward Teller said, "What are we going to do with all of this fluoride? It's horribly neurotoxic, and it's also very corrosive." So what he devised was the chemtrail program and the drinking water program. So they converted the uranium hexafluoride gas into solid uranium, depleted uranium, and fluoride. And the fluoride was dumped in the drinking water of America because dilution was the solution to the DOE pollution from fluoride. There was never anything, a real benefit meant for the public. The fluoride actually in the mouth in toothpaste kills the bacteria. And so it does cut back on tooth decay, but the fluoride gets into the structure of the teeth and actually weakens the phosphate structure.
One comment I'd like to make on this is that on the addition of the secondary disinfectants, which are really being used as primary disinfectants, like chloramine and chlorine, you add the fluoride to it. Of course, you're leaching lead from pipes at that point. But the whole thing, which goes into the drinking water, but the hydrofluoride gas, well, one of the steps that's in there, when I uncovered this as well, but I came from a different position, was the chloride dioxide gas, which the EPA sanctified in 1989 along with chloramine and chlorine. Chlorine is a direct relator to peer review systems for breast cancer, and chloramine has 17 different tumor artifacts, gene signal changes that have been done with animal and human studies, and they were up to 1989. They'd already researched for 15 years and found out on real people that this was a leukemia and cancer-causing agent. You add the chlorine dioxide, and you ask yourself, why would they add the chlorine dioxide gas, which I know the answer to it. There's a whole ream of things, but what they were doing was camouflaging what you're saying.
Yes.
In other words, they were putting in, if you add the chlorine dioxide into the drinking water, which they do as we speak across America and in France and Germany and China now, you're taking and causing a hydrofluoric idoacetic acid that's connected to a bromide. Oh. So the bromide acetic acid combines with the deteriorated uranium to cause what is called a conversion factor. I'm not just give me some libertarian concepts here to interject into your reveal. But the whole thing is that the deteriorated uranium now becomes what is called a sepsis carrier. In other words, when it adds itself now with a hydroacetic acid is now idoacetic acid, which now affects directly the endocrine system of the thyroid gland, the pancreas, which is one of the causations coming in for type 1 diabetes. You add that to the fluoride, which is added to that to now tie with the bromifluoric idoacetic acid, you now have a killing machine. And now I interviewed on June 17th, I believe it was June 17th, an incredible interview with a person by the name of Janet Phelan. And she had exposed, she was a journalist in Los Angeles and working for the Los Angeles Times, and she uncovered the idea of the government putting the chips into the drinking water pipes, and these would be controlled by satellite. And they have a separate set of blueprints, according to her, and I saw the blueprints and the whole thing. They have one blueprint for the public and another blueprint for this system. Well, what you're doing is just selectively killing people if you wanted to. I'm not saying the government's going to do that, but that's what her reveal is. Well, what the carrier is for the chip is now coming into your arena of the nanotube concept and the nanoparticles that has to do with being able to trigger these nanoparticles that you're going to talk about by satellite. And this chip is actually a fluid combination chip which has been extrapolated from biological enzyme systems. And I have seen the chip. And also it's got a special marking and the whole thing. So now if you add the deteriorated uranium with the fluoride, the hydrofluoric acid and the gas is now mixed with chlorine dioxide gas. That's mixed with the chloramine, which now is a carrier for the very organisms and viruses of which they're claiming they want to eliminate with cryptosporidium and Giardia lamblia as organisms in the water. So now you come along and mention this whole process, and the government's line is that the whole process of nuclear waste is in the form of plutonium-239 with a half-life of 24,000 years. So at the Kyoto meeting in Indonesia, they had a little paragraph in there for the sake of if you want to get a carbon credit, what you do is you just dump this stuff in the you just dump this process of the drinking water in such a way to take the nuclear waste and turn it into a fuel. So then you get a carbon credit for that. But in order to do that, you have to contaminate millions of people. Now that's where we are right now. And then Canada, as of a week ago, closed its nuclear reactor that makes all the radioisotopes for 75% of the world.